What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan White, aka Steelers Source. If this is your first time joining me, please consider becoming a subscriber, liking the video, or even commenting. All of the support is very much appreciated. But yeah, going to be jumping right into a Steelers Browns breakdown for tomorrow's game. And so let's get right into it. Cleveland comes into this matchup at 1-4, with the Steelers being 3-1. The game is going to be in Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium at 1 p.m. on CBS. The two sides went 1-1 last year. If you remember, Jameis Winston and the Browns got the better end of the Steelers in that first matchup. It was a big blizzard game, if I remember correctly. And then just a few weeks later, the Steelers got their revenge and settled the score. The Steelers are 6.5-point favorites in this one. They're coming off a bye. They're getting a lot of key starters back. They're going against Dylan Gabriel in his second career start. This is one that the Steelers should have. But having said that, that leads me into the injury report. For the Steelers, Calvin Austin is out. He's still dealing with that shoulder injury that he suffered a couple of weeks ago. He didn't practice at all this week. Maybe there's a chance he can see some action during the practice week next week, but we'll just have to monitor that situation. Jalen Ramsey hurt his hamstring in that Vikings win, was out most of the week until yesterday. He was a full participant in practice, and so he is expected to play now. Honestly, it kind of shocked me. I thought he'd maybe miss this game because he didn't practice all the way until yesterday. He was doing individual workouts. Some of the beat reporters were posting videos of that throughout the week, but until you see full action in the practice under Mike Tomlin, it's hard to say if you're actually going to play. So seeing that was a big indicator, and now he is going to play, so that's huge for the secondary. And yeah, like I said, the bye week came at an extremely crucial time. Highsmith missed a couple games, and so he's actually going to be back. He practiced this week. Jalen Warren is going to be back after missing just that Minnesota game, and also Joey Porter Jr. So that's a total of 4 starters they avoided to miss this game. And for a defense that's given up a lot of big plays, seeing Highsmith, Joey Porter, and Ramsey get back into the action is going to be huge for them. And on the other side for Cleveland, a relatively healthy group. All they really have listed out as of yesterday is their defensive tackle, Mike Hall Jr., who's been out since, I believe, at the end of last year with a knee injury. But according to reports, he is getting closer. So yeah, that's the injury report. Not sure if I mentioned this already, but yeah, Pittsburgh are 6.5-point favorites at home. They've kind of dominated the series in my lifetime the past 24 years, especially with Big Ben at the helm. But they've got an all-time record of 80, 63, and 1. And yeah, it's going to be Dylan Gabriel's second career start. And he went 19 of 33 last week, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. And for someone playing their first game, I would say he looked fairly comfortable. A lot of throws to his left. He's a left-hander. I saw his passing chart. A lot of it was to his left. A lot of it is dink and dunk. He didn't throw a single pass over 20 yards last week. I think a lot of you guys are probably familiar with watching a similar offense on our side of things. But yeah, he's got some mobility to him. He's accurate. He's only 5'11", and so if you can get pressure in his face and really disrupt his timing, he's not the biggest, or he's not going to really throw big-time throws with defenders in his face 40 yards down the field. It's not really something you're going to have to worry about. But yeah, a lot of boots and screens last week. Heavy tight end involvement. I can't stress that enough. David Njoku and Harold Fannin are 2 freaks of nature at the tight end position. I mean, having both of them is pretty remarkable in my opinion. Njoku, phenomenal after the catch. Harold Fannin, the rookie, just an absolute freak. I mean, he can run. They both can run. Breaking tackles, great in the middle of the field. Just big targets for the rookie quarterback. Safe targets, I'd say. Yeah, Njoku's their most targeted player this year, and Harold Fannin's right there. Even more targets and catches than Jerry Jeudy, who's a very good receiver, in my opinion. But yeah, between those 3 guys, they've got some capable pass catchers, and then when you combine Isaiah Bond, the rookie, who is a great deep threat out of Texas, he's got great vertical separation and acceleration. He's dangerous after the catch. They've got another Jamari Thrash, wide receiver out of Louisville, who's just a good route runner and reliable hand. So I think this receiving core mixed with the tight ends is pretty underrated. And when you combine that with a pretty solid offensive line and this rookie running back who might be their best offensive player already, Quinshon Judkins, 5'11", 220 power back out of Ohio State. I mean, I like Travion Henderson slightly more coming out of the draft, but I'm ready to say Judkins, I think, is better in the NFL, and it's early, but the way this guy runs and his contact balance, he's not the shiftiest guy, but he can break tackles, and he always is landing forward. I mean, he's just a power back, and he's breaking tackles. It's pretty remarkable to see. I've said that a few times, but whatever. He's capable. He's a capable pass catcher. Just a 3-down back. And they've also got Jerome Ford, who's pretty versatile. So they've got some good weapons on the offense for this rookie quarterback. They just got to hope that Gabriel can keep the turnovers down and play efficiently. And that's what he did last week, despite losing to Minnesota. And so with the Browns only having one game of Dillon Gabriel, I do have a lot of their stats, important stats that I like to look at. Keep in mind, most of this was with Joe Flacco, but EPA per play, they are ranked 30th. Success percentage, they're ranked 32nd. EPA per pass, they're 31st. EPA per rush, they are 11th. So pretty jaw-dropping numbers right there. This is one of the worst offenses in the league, especially passing offenses. Now, Dillon Gabriel might elevate it a little bit. I just don't see how much, or really a big difference that I don't see how much, I can't speak. I don't see really what he could do that Flacco couldn't, at least as a rookie. And so maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like Flacco could push the ball a little bit more down the field, but maybe the Browns need to rely on the run game and just no turnovers, and that could be a recipe for success, relying on a defense that's pretty stout. But yeah, they rank in terms of offensive line play and giving up sacks. They're about middle of the pack, and sack percentage, giving up a sack only on 5% of dropbacks. That's 16th in the league, dead in the middle. They've given up 11 sacks on the year, which is kind of in the upper half of the league, but not horrible at all. They are led by Jack Conklin, Wyatt Taylor at right guard, Ethan Posick, Joel Patino, and KT Leviston. Not sure if I said all of those correctly, but that is their offensive line. Tyler Conklin stands out. Joel Patino, we've known him for a while, but just a group that's a few of those guys have been together for a while, and they've got a young runner that's running pretty well. And against a Steelers defense that is improving against the run, that's going to be where they really need to hone in their focus, is stopping Quinshon Judkins and limiting the passing attack that is honestly not too much different than the Steelers in terms of just how fast they were getting it out last week. But yeah, that is the kind of scouting report on the Cleveland defense. Just some more numbers for Pittsburgh. I pulled up some notable defensive numbers, that is. We know that the Steelers have been giving up a lot of yards, and so Terrell Austin talked about it last week before the bye. He was asked about just what are some of the things that he looks at when it comes to determining how successful his defense is, and he was straight up. Turnovers and sacks. That's what he's looking for, and that's what this defense is doing, despite being without a couple of key guys throughout the first month or so of the season. They're third in sack percentage, getting a sack at 8% of sacks, or 8% of dropbacks, and they've got a interception percentage that it ranks 5th in the league. So they are creating turnovers and they are creating sacks. They are top 3 in both metrics in terms of total numbers, and that's the name of the game. If you can turn the other offense over, you're going to set your offense up in a better position. And this defense is fine with giving up plays and they've adopted the bend but don't break mentality. And while being the most expensive defense in the league, I don't know if that's necessarily what you'd want to see, but at least we're getting big production out of them. Like if they're gonna give up a lot of points and they're gonna give up a lot of yards, they better take the ball away and they better create splash plays. And so that's great to see from a very expensive and old defense. I would be remiss if I didn't mention their rookie defensive tackle Mason Graham out of Michigan, just a dominant interior force. Combining him with Myles Garrett and Malik Collins, I mean, their defensive line is going to be it's going to be a great matchup against the Steelers' young offensive line. Myles Garrett and Troy Fautanu, that's going to give us a great look at him. I know they move Myles Garrett all around the offensive line, so we'd love to see him in some battles against Troy and Broderick. Now, I'm not calling for too many one-on-one pass block reps against Myles Garrett with those guys, but it's going to be a good scale of how good those young guys are going against that guy. I would call Myles Garrett the best edge rusher in the NFL in 2025. Yeah, they also made a trade. They traded Gregory Newsome for Tyson Campbell. They brought him in from Cleveland. He's a just physical press corner. I believe he's going to play. He's just good at matching deep speed. They've got Denzel Ward as well, so they've got a lot of capable defenders in there on their defense. That's really their strong suit. But yeah, like I said, offensively for the Steelers, it's going to be key if they can block this pass rush and this defensive line. I don't think we're going to see too much change with the offense. Jaylen Warren being back is huge. Look out for Scotty Miller and Roman Wilson to make a step up in this game with Calvin Austin being out. Now, I heard from a beat reporter that Scotty Miller is expected to see more of the role or more of maybe the targets with this Calvin Austin being out. And now if Roman Wilson doesn't get any sort of burn, any sort of legit playing time today, I'm really going to start raising concerns. It's going to feel similar to Caleb Johnson, although Caleb Johnson's only a rookie. Roman Wilson's healthy, man. He's healthy right now, and Calvin Austin's not. And in my opinion, their archetypes are similar, and so is Scotty Miller. And so I just don't understand why the team wouldn't go with Roman Wilson today unless they really, really just aren't impressed with him in practice and throughout the summer. If Scotty Miller is truthfully the better option, then so be it. But it's just going to end up being a disappointing draft pick if you can't get in the game today. I mean, Steelers wide receiver core is not too strong outside of DK. But, yeah, I would like to see, lastly, before I get off here, I'd like to see a lot more of Darnell Washington. He was the leading snap holder last week in the tight end room, and Mike Tomlin talked about it this week as they see more 4-3 defenses, especially in the division against the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals next week on Thursday. They're going to be using a lot more of Darnell Washington in those jumbo formations, and they're not going to ask Jonnu and Pat Freiermuth to block edge rushers because why would they when they have a absolute mammoth of a man who can do it for them? So yeah, I would love to see more Darnell Washington and the run game continue its thing, but that just about covers everything that I wanted to cover. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel, and I will be back with a reaction to tomorrow's game right after it ends. Thank you, and see you tomorrow.